All right, I want to share a little bit today again out of Ili Chiara's book, Life is Eternal Newness. And, I like the book. I've liked both of his books, The Silence of the Mind and this one, because what they do is they take these spiritual ideals and put them in sort of a poetry format as such. And I find it really effective as a tool, for meditation and thinking about these things. So I'm going to do something just slightly different than what I usually do. Usually I just read it to you and kind of leave it up to you. I'm going to break this one into all of its paragraphs, so it could take me all week to get through it. It's a fairly short poem, but just talk about it and investigate it. It's called The Aliveness. The aliveness, pure energy, existent in everyone and everything in the immense universe. It is truth, light, love, intelligence, and perfect beauty. The source that created it has no beginning and no end. Only it exists beyond space and time. And just to say a few things about that, it's a good clarification on the idea of God. We've made God so simplistic and boxed him into a particular gender and boxed him into a particular identity, even associated him with particular social groups, and not really opening up to the potentials of the reality of this divine. That it doesn't have to be quite so schoolboy simplistic in its outreach. And that the divine can be experienced in yourself. It's our very nature. And, it's one of those things, the idea here of this divine existence, this aliveness, as he calls it, instead of God, it's of the nature of truth, light, love, intelligence, and perfect beauty, which comes from the ancient scriptures in most of the world's traditions. This is the idea of the divine as is, and that this moment is a manifestation of all of those things. It's one of those understandings that we see and experience things in the world based on what is coming back to us from the reflection of our consciousness, from our conscious being. We send out that light of consciousness or awareness. It bounces off of objects which turn out to be in the mind and not in the world. And we begin having the experience of them. Now, most of our experience is covered by this past of ours that has taught us, whether true or not, or given us assumptions about the world that we live in, and certainly about the divine nature. But in this experience of this present existence, we want to sit in this moment, trying to eliminate the biases of the past from what experience has taught us, try to eliminate the future, the projections of our desires and wants based on what we think we need or are longing for, to exclude those from our moment and just become aware. It's not a hypnotization. It's not a blanketing or projecting something over something else. It's an opening up and allowing yourself to become aware of the moment in a way that you might not have ever been aware of it before. And in that, there's a great potential for this seeing truth, light, love, intelligence, and perfect beauty, because that's the nature of self, the nature of the divine. That is what the image of God is, that they talk about in Christianity, that's been placed within each one of us, or that each one of us is manifesting. And that it's the same truth, light, love, intelligence, and perfect beauty image that's in all of us. There's just one, and from it all of us are, just like the characters in a dream. And so in this moment, really, it's a great tool, I find, for when I'm really struggling. As many of you have known, I've shared with my past with depression, and this has become one of the fundamental tools for dealing with that and for being able to look around it or to transcend it in myself. In this idea of letting go of everything coloring the moment and just sit here for a moment and breathe and be fully present, not with thinking, not with ideas, not with wondering or analyzing, just turning my entire self into a listener, to become aware of what it means to exist and to contemplate that existence. And so when he says here, that it's truth, light, love, intelligence, and perfect beauty, the source that created it has no beginning and no end, because it's not in time. You see, it exists outside time. It's, how's that possible? Well, time exists in our mind alone. I'm under the suspicion at this point in my practice that time really is the rate of thought going on. That if you can manage to stop the mind, you stop time. And that time is just a tool of relativity for the mind to be able to think and to be able to place things. Same thing with causation and whatnot. But to sit in silence and to allow these things to wash through you, allow them to exist without any real examination, just an openness to being. Practice with that, play with that, and see where it takes you. Let me know if you feel any sense of bliss or any sense of joy that comes from just being what we are. They say that's what our nature is. And so to experience that is really what we're after.